Konnichiwa, minasan, I'm Matayu, and this is Manga You May Have Missed. Please try to refrain from humming Alan Menken as we delve into Pet Shop of Horrors. Pet Shop of Horrors was written by Matsuri Akino and published by Asahi Sonorama and Missy Comics DX from 1995 to 1998. Its 10 volumes were published in North America and the United Kingdom by Tokyopop, and in Australia by Madman Entertainment. A 4-episode anime adaptation was directed by Toshio Hirata and produced by Studio Madhouse. It was licensed in North America by Sentai Filmworks and is currently distributed by Section 23 Films. Although this is shojo manga, there is an instance of rather gory detail in this chapter that I will be censoring. Pet Shop of Horrors has 2 title pages, both of which show an effeminate person. The second one gives us the title of the first chapter, Dream. We open with a contract being signed in a room full of cages. The signee says that his lifelong dream is now in his hands, and the contract presenter cautions him that the shop cannot be held liable for anything that happens if the signee fails to follow the rules. The signee, now leaving, repeats the rules back to the other person. Rule 1. Do not let it see light. Rule 2. Do not let it touch water. And Rule 3. Do not feed it after midnight. The box he's holding makes a noise. The effeminate, for clarity's sake let's call it a man, from the title pages tells him to take care of it and shower it with affection forever. We are introduced to Chinatown, a place with rare things from all different periods of time and places. To be specific, it's Chinatown, Los Angeles. A horned mouse-rabbit bat thing with webbed feet starts chirping, and the man notes that it's time to close up shop. At that moment, loud voices issue from the shop's door. A lady demands to know if this is Count D's pet shop. The man welcomes her, but claims he is not the eponymous Count. The Count is the man's grandfather. The man is only keeping the shop for him while he's acquiring new merchandise. The lady dismisses his words and demands a rare bird, shouting at her assistant when he tries to dissuade her. Apparently, Count D's only has strange, rare pets, which is exactly what she wants. Specifically, she wants a bird that has feathers as pretty as a peacock's, with a voice like a canary's. At any rate, she wants one that's a lot more expensive than her friend's. Her father's money is no object. He won't care, of course, seeing as he cares more about his job and women than his daughter. The proprietor, who regardless of it not being his name is referred to as D in this manga, says that something that is just right for the woman came in a few days ago. He explains that, for various reasons, it can't be displayed in the front of the shop, so he invites her into the back room. The shop is deceptively large. As they pass by things in enclosures, the lady thinks to herself that the interior is like a maze. She wonders if she's going to be kidnapped and fed to animals. D asks her if something's wrong, and she points out that despite the large number of animals, there's no smell in the shop. D explains that the shop uses incense to mask the scent. Now that he mentions it, the lady begins to smell it. They reach a door at the end of a long hallway. The lady hears flapping noises and figures it must be a very large bird. D claims the bird will be startled if the light goes on suddenly, so he slowly raises the illumination. The lady is shocked to see a person in ceremonial wear sitting on a couch. She asks what the hell, but D merely calls to the bird. To the lady's further confusion, the person sprouts wings and flies over to D's arm. He introduces it as a bird from a small island in the south of the South Pacific called Australasia. It's not listed in any illustrated books because only a few can be found in the world. It also has a stunning singing voice. The lady demands to know more, but D says the Australasia is a nocturnal species and won't sing until nighttime, although his voice is guaranteed to be beautiful. Legend says that the kings long ago would hold battles between Australasia and a poisonous snake. If the bird sang well, the snake would be lulled to sleep, but if it sang poorly, the snake would silence its voice forever. In that way, only the survivors passed on their beautiful voices. The lady agrees to buy the bird and asks the price. D says that will be decided after she listens to his song. If it's to her liking, then they will discuss it. The lady said that she'll have the bird at her place and will keep him in a greenhouse, which D agrees to. Later that night in the greenhouse, the bird has not yet begun to sing. The lady asks what's going on, and D tells her not to rush him. The bird is very frail, and he needs to adjust to his own environment. He takes out a container of incense from the shop. Silently, the lady pleads with the bird to let her hear his voice. The bird acquiesces. It's the most beautiful thing the lady has ever heard. D remarks that the bird seems to like the lady, and explains that he will only sing for someone he likes. He confirms that the lady can be his owner, and asks her to sign the contract. D tells the lady, who we now know is called Angelique, to be sure to follow the terms of the contract, and that the shop cannot be held liable if she doesn't. He leaves her with a jar of incense. Angelique suddenly realizes that D never named a price. He himself had initially forgotten, but asks for 10 fruit tarts from Madame C's shop. He asks her to bring them to the pet shop the next day, and departs. The rules in this contract are simple. Rule 1. Feed the Australasia fresh fruit for every meal of the day. Rule 2. Do not let anyone else see him. And Rule 3. Whenever he sings, Angelique must listen by his side. He will not stop singing until he sees her face. He will keep singing even if it kills him. She assumes that all these directives will be easy to follow. She wishes she could keep listening to the beautiful music forever. For some reason, though, it brings tears to her eyes. The reason is that it's a love song. Angelique has returned to the pet shop to have Dee address her concerns, and he has also made her tea. He explains that every aspect of the bird's behavior is designed to attract a mate. He also introduces the bat mouse thing as Q-chan, the winged rabbit. Angelique wonders if he's trying to attract her. Dee says that he was raised by a breeder and never met any of his own species, so it's not unreasonable to assume that he thinks of himself as human. Even the songs he sings come from his own genes, not through parental teaching. So yes, he sees Angelique as a bird. Their conversation is interrupted by Dee's first customer, who is calling to complain about the pet he bought multiplying because he gave it water. He's in breach of contract, so Dee refuses to do anything. Dee puts down the phone as the screaming starts and turns back to Angelique. He quickly changes the subject and asks what Angelique calls the Strelitzia, and is disappointed with P-chan. Sometime later, Angelique is meeting with her father. He asks if she's been good, and her grandmother pipes up to say that the bird she bought has really helped clean up her act. Apparently Daddy wasn't supposed to know about the bird. He mentions wanting to see the bird, but Angelique denies the request as per Rule 2. Her father remarks that she's reached that age, and asks her if she wants to have lunch with a man next month. He intends to make a business merger by marrying his daughter to his competitor's son, and calls her selfish when she reacts like any normal human would. She goes to the greenhouse to cry about it and is comforted by the bird. She realizes that he must really want to meet his true love. The next day, she calls the pet shop and asks Dee about finding a mate for the bird. She reasons that he'll be happier if he has a mate and chicks. Dee says that breeding a Strelitzia is difficult, but Angelique says it'll be fine. Dee also says there are very few females available, so Angelique tries to bribe him. The price isn't the problem. She then offers him a year's supply of Peninsula chocolate. Dee brings a cloth-wrapped figure to Angelique and tells her that acquiring it caused him a great deal of trouble. She ignores his warning that what she's doing is dangerous and asks to see it. The female Strelitzia is rather plain, as only the males have the plumage and the voice. But she is of the same species and can become the male's mate. Dee, Q-chan, and Angelique watch as the two meet. Both seem rather startled to see each other. Dee remarks that the first impression went rather well. Angelique seems less enthused, and Dee asks if she regrets her decision. She claims it's just the mother's pain of parting from her child, and Dee offers her a new contract. The rules this time are simple. She cannot go into the greenhouse for 1 week and must also not give them any food. When she questions it, Dee asks what mother would interrupt her child's honeymoon. He loans her Q-chan for the week, but cautions her not to go into the greenhouse no matter what. 3 days later, and Angelique has kept her promise. The male bird has been singing every night, but Angelique is saddened to know that it's not directed at her. She turns her attention to the mystery surrounding Dee. He signed the contract with just the letter, so what could it stand for? Could it be Dracula? No, that's dumb. What else could it mean? Dark? Danger. Drug. Dragon. Destiny. Devil. Death. Dream. She falls to sleep pondering it. After 6 days, the singing has stopped. Angelique reckons the two birds must be very hungry, despite Dee's orders not to give them food. She decides she can't wait the last day, and goes to bring them food. Q-chan lets out a cry. Angelique enters the building to see the male bird lying on the ground, with bite marks in his face. In fact, his face is pretty much the most intact part of his body. The bowl of fruits falls to the ground as Angelique shrieks. The female then approaches, wiping the male's blood off her mouth. Angelique slaps her across the face, demanding to know why. She goes in for another strike when Dee grabs her hand. She demands that he let her go, but he simply responds that cannibalism is a trait of the Strelitzia species. The male is used as nourishment for the child. To keep the species alive, she had to eat him. The 7-day clause wasn't for the bird's benefit, it was for Angelique's. If she had waited another day, she wouldn't have seen the bloody sight. She protests that yesterday the male was still singing. The female first ate the arms, then the legs, but the male remained alive. As long as he drew breath, he would continue to sing for his owner. Dee says that the child will hatch in a month and Angelique will once again be able to hear the song from the bird's very DNA, and we're finally shown the true appearance of the Strelitzia. Business continues as normal in the pet shop when Dee welcomes a returning customer. The man says he has too many turtles and iguanas now and asks for something different. Dee says that a new pet that would appeal to the man was just brought in, but for undisclosable reasons cannot be displayed in the front. The man says that money isn't a question and that he simply must see. The end. The Pet Shop of Horrors anime adapts 4 chapters from the manga. Chapter 3, Daughter, Chapter 7, Delicious, Chapter 2, Despair, and Chapter 16, Duel, in that order. As you may have noticed, every chapter in Pet Shop of Horrors has a title that begins with D. The first episode begins with the results of someone breaking a contract to cement why you shouldn't do it. Again, the contracts are for the owner's benefit, not the animal's. It involves a couple who recently lost their daughter and are looking for a pet to fill the void. Of course, D has exactly what they're looking for. It is not a perfect adaptation of the chapter, but it still gets the point across. The animation is quite obviously from the 90s, but that isn't too distracting. The mood in the first episode is built rather well. The reason they adapted Chapter 3 is most likely because it introduces the character Leon Orcott, an LAPD detective who initially is investigating Dee's pet shop for human trafficking, since, well, all of his animals look like humans. As the manga progresses, the two become slightly distrustful friends. As every chapter comes with someone learning a moral the hard way, the anime can be a little bit of a downer to watch. I really think the dub is trying to be good, but it's failing. Usually with bad dubs you can kind of get that the voice actors don't really care, but with this it seems more they had lofty ambitions without the talent to back it up. Dee's voice is okay, but Leon's tends to flip-flop and the background characters, best left alone. At times though, the vocal work can lead to some unintentionally funny moments, and the voice acting does pull through in the really important scenes, so use your best judgment. Pet Shop of Horrors is unusually dark for a shojo series, so much so that I was surprised to find it wasn't josei. Though it's had formulaic, the series is still enjoyable, and I found it an engaging read. Actually no, not stopping it there, partially because that's a weak ending, but mostly because I want to muse for a second on Dee's MO. I have read the manga to the end, but I don't intend to spoil it for you. Dee could avoid all the tragic end results if he simply told his patrons that the clauses in the contracts are for their benefits as the pet's owners, not for the benefit of the animals. I will say that when all is said and done, Dee is effectively ambivalent towards the human race. Is he neglecting to warn people simply because he doesn't care? Somehow, I don't think that's it. Ultimately, I think Dee simply expects more from humans than he lets on. After all, we are just another kind of animal, and how different does that make us from the denizens of the pet shop, really? See, much better ending.